Welcome to MMA Fancast 247 Fighting Championship Brawl in the BITB12. July 9th is under a month away. And with that in mind, say hi to my next guest and first-time guest on MMA Fancast, Karrson Ewing. Karrson, welcome to the show.
What's going on, my man?
It is very nice to have you on the show. You are making your debut in MMA, in amateur MMA, for 247 Brawl in the BITB12. At the Meadows Casino, which is a great location. Let's jump into it. Basically, what I know about you is that this fight is at 175. It's a catch weight. You're 6'1", which is considered a bit tall at that weight class, and you're currently training at High Ground Jiu-Jitsu in Greensburg. So let's start there. When did you start training at High Ground? What led you to want to train MMA?
Well, I think I've been there for about like 1.5, 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been there for a little bit of time now. What made me start MMA? I used to be a football player before this. I played out of Plum High School, and I graduated, went to Lackawanna College. After that, I ended up going to the University of Mount Union. Kind of found out college wasn't for me, and I went through a little depression phase. During that depression phase, though, I ended up seeing a fight on TV, Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington.
All right.
And from that moment, like, I just knew that's what I want to do. And so I looked up High Ground, and they took me right in. And ever since, it's been a dream.
Now, it's pretty rare. It's wonderful. It's pretty rare that somebody sees like a sport such as MMA that they've never really seen or heard of and then jumps right into it. So for you, being brand new at High Point MMA, High Ground MMA, obviously they're well-rounded. They're all about MMA. So did they start having to do striking, grappling, and jiu-jitsu? How did they break out the components you needed to learn for MMA?
Okay, well, actually, I do have a wrestling background. I wrestled for Plum High School. And so I explained that to them, and they just kind of threw me into jiu-jitsu first. And like with that, it was like super confusing because I'm not used to being on my back as a wrestler. So I got on my back, man, I looked like a whole turtle when you put it on his back, just sitting there squalling. But after that, fell in love with jiu-jitsu and ended up taking that serious. And then they shot me over to Muay Thai. And as you know, Muay Thai is a very hard learning process, very tough learning.
Well, you've got a great frame for Muay Thai. I'm sure they told that to you. The long and lanky Muay Thai fighters tend to be pretty good because you can work your angles and you have long kicks. You're not allowed head kicks or elbows to the face, those type things, or knees to the face in amateur MMA. But you are allowed push kicks to the body. You're allowed kicks to the leg. You're allowed punches, of course, to the head on standing, not on the ground. So you have a lot of skills for Muay Thai. You're also allowed a limitless clinch. You're not allowed to knee to the head from the clinch. But what have you learned about clinch work? Because clinch work in MMA, particularly up against the cage, whether it's a 1 plum, 2 plum, ends up really being a lot of what MMA is.
Well, as a defensive end, I love being up close. So that clinch work is actually one of my favorite things to do. When I'm in that clinch, that's my element right there. I love doing damage in there. I love the dirty boxing. Man, the clinch, I love it. Just know that.
Well, that makes a lot of sense from a D end. I'm guessing club was your best move because you said you like to be. What was your D end best move? Was it a swim, a rip, or a club?
Well, actually, I was more of a spin type of guy myself, if I'm being completely honest. But I did like to do a little push and pull, so nothing too crazy.
Well, it makes a lot. It makes a lot of sense. Sometimes people forget that even in amateur, even though it's some limitations to keep fighters safe and allow them to develop, the ability to hold somebody and punch them does not exist in boxing, right? And so even in amateur MMA, that is kind of a step up as far as figuring out how to use that to your advantage and also how to avoid that being used. Now, your opponent at 175 is a touch taller than you. He's listed at 6'4", you're 6'1". And so there's a bunch of different matchups as far as Muay Thai and grappling and stuff. What's it been like training for your first ever fight in MMA?
Well, for the most part, I've really been bringing a step stool into the mat because, he's 6'4", so I got to get up there somehow. But no, just kidding. But it's definitely been a fun experience. Like This is my MMA debut, but this isn't my first fight. I had a boxing match a few months ago. So right now it's more about the comfortability, like for me. Like I feel real comfortable right now. It's like I got the nerves, but they're more of nerves of excitement. It's like I'm ready for this. I'm excited.
Well, tell us a little bit about the boxing fight. How was that walk? What was that nerves like, and how did it go for you?
Man, I was sweating bullets all the way leading up to the match, man. Uh, um, the walk was cool though. Like once I started walking, once I got to the ring, like I was cool. I was straight, and I felt comfortable. And once I got in there, it I would say I was probably like 60% nervous, 40% calm, that around there. And like the match, it went as expected. Like I lost, but it was my first match. We took it as a learning experience and we pushed forward.
Well, that's always the good mindset, the win or learn mindset. And getting your first fight, getting those nerves, getting your first fight out of the way is always important. We can't wait to see you at the 247. I know Greensburg, hopefully you'll have some people driving in. I always encourage people to buy tickets from fighters. If they're going to watch it on pay-per-view, that's on 247fighting.com. Let's get to your gratitude list a little bit. I think early in a MMA or fighting career, it's always important to connect to who you're grateful for each fight, each time out. So who's on that list this time out for your first MMA fight?
Well, first things off the top, I gotta always thank my mother, because my mother is my rock and everything. Second of all, after that, instantly got to thank Coach Tommy, because he's the guy. I wouldn't be in this if it wasn't for him. I got to thank Coach Matt from down at Southside Boxing, and Coach James and all the people down at Southside, because I wouldn't be half of a fighter if it wasn't for them. Got to thank my boy George, my boy Trevor, my boy Dan, because I love them all and they always pushing me to new levels. Man, I got to thank All-American. I got to thank those guys over there, because they always helping me get to a new level too. So, there's so many people to thank. The list can go on and on and on.
Well, and obviously, if he didn't mention your name, that doesn't mean he's not grateful for you, Karrson. You had a great list there. That also shows the value of having good support, good teammates, not only from the technical side, which is important, coaching and drilling, but also for the motivational and encouraging and those type that type mindset. It really does take a big team and a lot of support to really make MMA. What do you think would make July 9th a success for you? You mentioned in the boxing debut, you were figuring it out, trying to learn from the experience. So what would make July 9th a success for you?
Nothing less than a win. Nothing less than a win.
All right.
That is success for me.
Okay. Well, I think that's the focus. Obviously, you're gonna be fighting 3 2-minute rounds, and for some people that sounds short, but that's actually quite a bit of time in MMA when you're figuring out the takedowns. The submissions can go quick. We've seen amateur MMA fights go 19, 20 seconds with a knockout, because it's a lot of contact allowed. There's small gloves. It's not the big gloves. There's no headgear. For people that get confused by that, USA Boxing requires all that stuff. There's a lot more sort of protections when people are amateurs. It's been exciting having you on, Karrson. It's been great.
Hey, I'm grateful to be here.
Hey, it's been fun to get to know you a little bit. I think it's always good to see, I've heard of high ground jiu-jitsu. It's always good to see gyms, particularly getting involved and connected to 247 Fighting Championships. It's the first time 247 is taking over the Meadows, and I think that's a great event. Casinos tend to be a much more exciting event venue. So I can't wait to see you in person July 9th. And hopefully we'll be doing a video later about your first fight and your first win. So thanks so much for coming on. You take care.
See you soon.
All right.
Yes,
Best
sir,
skills to you. Thanks a lot. All right. Bye-bye.